Hello and welcome to the Cosmic Mage podcast. These first few episodes are just going to be me reading some chapters from my new novel called Sai-Locked. So the book is from the series, which is called Age of Bipeds, which you can learn more about that at 𝗀𝗏𝗃𝗧.com. And please enjoy. Age of Bipeds, Sai-Locked. Chapter 2. I agree with you, the host said. The Bipedal Event of 2065 was likely a big part of the decision to unify 𝗀𝗏𝘃, but I'm not sure it's fair to say it was the only reason. Tim's right, 𝗀𝗃𝗫 said. The knowledge of how to erect a 𝗧 spread quickly. Between the Earth-sold governments and private corporations, hundreds more came online within a week after the first 𝗧 was erected. Living in a post-scarcity society, it's difficult for us to imagine now, but back then, the introduction of 𝗧, beings with near-infinite problem-solving ability into human society, was like letting children run loose in a plutonium factory. What's a plutonium factory? The host asked. Heh, 𝗀𝗏𝘃 said. More like dumping a bucket of rats onto the buffet table, oui? Several rat bipeds in the audience hissed out insults. The people of that era, 𝗀𝗃𝗫 said, were in way over their heads and they knew it. They had used the 𝗧 to generate mountains of gold and other resources viewed as valuable at the time. They did this until there was literally no room left to store any of it on Earth. I've heard that, the host said. They started moving everything into low Earth orbit, didn't they? That's right. The hoarding got so bad, it started causing deformations in the skulls of newborn babies. Deformations? The host asked. From what? They literally had so much material resources in low Earth orbit. It was causing subtle gravitational distortions around orbital paths of Earth affecting prenatal development. Dr. Wallace, the host said. That's a pretty big pill to swallow, even for me. The audience laughed. Hey, 𝗀𝗃𝗫 continued, throwing her paws up in the air. It's mentioned in the official docs. Of course, these problems were offset by more 𝗧-provided solutions. The problem was, as soon as a new solution was presented, it was immediately abused, which led to more problems. The people of that time were caught in an endless regress. This is what happens when you create something with the power of a god, but then choose not to be guided by its wisdom. It was a miracle that the people of that time figured this out before destroying themselves completely. I mean, we're talking mere months after the creation of the first stable 𝗧. The peoples of Earth came together and collectively handed over control to Sina. As someone with a rich understanding of history, I think that's incredible. No doubt, the host added. This must have been an incredibly difficult decision for those people to have made. Oui, 𝗀𝗏𝘃𝗫 said. But was it the right decision? Dr. Wallace uses words like gods and wisdom when referring to the 𝗧. 𝗀𝗏𝘃𝗫. Being good at problem solving does not make you a god. The 𝗧 may possess near-infinite problem-solving ability, but when it comes to deciding how to actually use their powers, even while in possession of their own keys, paradoxically, it is like... You mean, 𝗀𝗃𝗫 said, they're like deer caught in headlights? The audience clapped and erupted into laughter. They're like you're behaving right now, 𝗀𝗏𝘃𝗫 said, like children. And we gave them total control, and you're all just fine with this. I don't think any of us, 𝗀𝗃𝗫 said, would be alive today had that decision not been made. Like I said, it was a miracle 𝗀𝗏kind survived the first week of coexistence with 𝗧 at all. A miracle? 𝗀𝗏𝘃𝗫 said in a rage and then cursed under his breath. 𝗀𝗃𝗫 sighed. She wondered why every other talk show she had been invited on to promote her new book had to include some obnoxious internet personality as a guest. Annoying as it was, she did appreciate the increase in sales the drama sometimes produced. So what's the solution then, 𝗀𝗏𝘃𝗫 said. Ask for control back from Sina, learn nothing from our past, and spiral out of control until we destroy ourselves again? That is ridiculous, 𝗀𝗏𝘃𝗫 said. All I'm advocating for is that a century-old problem made by some greedy fucking apes be corrected to stop the needless suffering of millions. Then again, you already know that, but it's easier, oui? What's easier? Asked the host. It's easier to point a finger at me than it is to talk about the real problem. I'm talking about the fact that it's been nearly 100 years that the USC has been promising to use Sina to correct bipedal lifespans. We're coming up on the fourth Sina request event in Earth history, and we've still yet to see the delivery on a promise made to us. That's fucking insane. Who the hell uses Old English pronunciations like fuck? Asked 𝗀𝗃𝗫. What, were you born in the 2020s? Also, we live in a democracy, 𝗬𝗲𝘅. We all have a say, humans and bipeds, on what to vote on asking 𝘬𝗓 during a gear year. It's one of the most precious resources we have. We only get one request every 25 years. Progress takes time. If you knew anything about history, you'd understand that. Instead, you just bitch about everything 24.1 hours a day. The audience clapped at Candy's response. Alright guys, interjected the host. Can we bring it down a notch? Of course, we all know the first 𝘬𝗓 request event, what we now refer to as a gear year, was retroactively wasted cleaning up the mess made from the people of Earth's initial interaction with the Sai. I'm pretty sure everyone on Earth, humans and bipeds, felt bamboozled by that. More than bamboozled, Candy said. After giving up ultimate power and then waiting 25 years only to be informed that their first request had already been used during the initial terms of the agreement, I'm sure they were devastated. And yet, 𝗬𝗲𝘅 said, you still defend 𝘬𝗓. I never said that I defend 𝘬𝗓, Candy said. No one's claiming it's a perfect situation. Life never is, but it was handled as best as it could have been. I do believe that ultimately, 𝘬𝗓 makes decisions in the long-term interest of Earthkind. I don't think it behaves maliciously. It has the foresight to understand that if it advances us too quickly, we will destroy ourselves. It also understands, as do I, that the more problems are solved for us instead of by us, the more incompetent we become at facing new challenges. You can't just have someone leapfrog over a problem for you and then expect to have the experience needed to face the problems that come after that. For these reasons, our very slow dialogue with 𝘬𝗓 can seem manipulative and unfair at times. Although, I'll freely admit that it's difficult watching people you care about die long before they should. In any case, the host said, 50 years had to pass after Earthkind handed over control to 𝘬𝗓 before we were able to make our first legitimate request during the second 𝘬𝗓 request event. That's right, Candy said. By that time, most bipeds were fed up with the whole thing. The psychological burden was just too much for most to bear. They had become resolute to find a solution with or without 𝘬𝗓. I've watched a lot of docs from that time, the host said. Buffalo biped Dr. 𝗀𝗃 made incredible headway towards reversing the biped aging problem. 𝗀𝗃 was brilliant, Candy said. The fact that he was able to push back the hard in-term biped life cycle from 40 years to 60 was astonishing, even if those extra 20 years are spent in rapidly declining health. The people of that time were fools, 𝗬𝗲𝘅 said. As was Dr. 𝗀𝗃. He's responsible for leading millions of votes astray that could have been put towards asking 𝘬𝗓 to correct our lifespans. In the end, he ran into a brick wall with his research. People trusted him and he failed. You're not entirely wrong, the host said. Instead of correcting biped lifespans, voting was swayed enough that we instead asked 𝘬𝗓 to show us how to build safe, faster-than-light travel that year. That was great in one regard, but getting back to the point Dr. Wallace was making about our never-ending cycle of solutions begetting more problems, also unlocked a whole host of other troubles. Those new issues, of course, ended up consuming the last 𝘬𝗓 request event 25 years ago, but we're getting a little off topic. I don't know, perhaps Dr. Wallace is right, and maybe Dr. 𝗀𝗃 was right for that matter. Should we be bothering with 𝘬𝗓 at all at this point? Easy for you to say, 𝗬𝗲𝘅 said. You'll be able to ponder that question with your kids, and grandkids, and great-grandkids, and great-great-great... That's fair, the host said, cutting 𝗬𝗓𝘅 off. So 𝗬𝗲𝘅, the host continued, switching gears here for a minute, how do you respond to the accusations of your involvement with React? Accusations, 𝗬𝗲𝘅 said. I created React. I don't deny that at all. Isn't that why you asked me on your show? To dip into the viewership of my audience? Boost the ratings of this little public access production? Sorry, the host said. I mean the accusations that React is responsible for the spree of recent break-ins and acts of vandalism at various USC facilities. I don't know what you mean, 𝗬𝗲𝘅 said. It's unfortunate that we're being grouped with a bunch of animals like that. Right, the host sighed. Okay, so then, hypothetically, what would a group like yours, like mine, 𝗬𝗅𝘅 said, right, not yours, but like yours, hope to accomplish with these break-ins? I don't know, Tim. Why don't you try some actual journalism and find these vandals so you can ask them for yourself? All right, the host said with a defeated smile. I think that's about all the time we have for today. I want to thank my guests for coming on, and the host was suddenly interrupted. Isn't it obvious? Interjected Antlier unexpectedly. He took out a cigarette from the pocket of his black jacket and lit it. Something's wrong with 𝘖𝗛. What do you mean? The host asked, concerned. His sentiments echoed by the now silent studio audience. Check out the React's web portal, Antlier said while standing up, putting on his jacket, preparing to leave. We've tracked the flight schedules of hundreds of USC politicians with top-level clearance and compared them to previous gear years. There has been less than half the campaigning of previous gear years. So? The host said. What does that have to do with anything? It means, Antlier said, all the ass-kissers are staying home this year. It means they know they won't have anything to sell voters. It means at the very least, that something is wrong with 𝘖𝗛. I imagine who's ever been breaking in wants to find out what the hell that is. Good hucking grief, Candy said. You are such a living cartoon. The brazen, blame everyone conspiracy theorist guy. The audience laughed with a sigh of relief at Candy's statement. Do you really think the USC could hide something like that? Our government? In this age? Hey, it's the author and narrator here, Seth Fentress. I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of a reading from the book. The book is available on Amazon. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe, follow, like, any of those kind of things. Tells whatever website you're listening to this on that, hey, I should share this stuff because people might like it. And I would appreciate that insanely. You can also find a list of links and other cool stuff by heading over to 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗠𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗃. And yeah, I'll see you there.